Hello and welcome. I am Caitlin Osmondson with Our High River, and we are here with Jamie Kinghorn. And welcome, Jamie.
Thank you.
We're here today to just give you an opportunity to chat a little bit. We're going to ask you a few questions, and we want our community to get to know you and sort of why you're running for council. So we're just going to jump right in and get started with the first question, which is tell us about yourself, why you're running for council, and why High Riverites should vote for you.
Well, first, Caitlin, thank you for doing this. Thank you to High River for having this. Canada's given us this opportunity. Under COVID, it hasn't been as easy campaigning as it has been in past years. I was comfortable going on doors, but I don't think that that's suitable this year. So why should people vote for me?
Well, yeah, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. Well, I don't like bragging too much, but I've lived in High River for 25 years, over 25 years. I had my first term on council was in 2010, and then I was reelected in 2017. I really enjoy planning the future of High River and working with the youth and figuring out where things are going to go. And High River has been through so much, and it just keeps coming back and coming back. And I really admire that in our community, and that makes me want to serve it even more. I've got extensive experience in various boards. I've been with the museum. Congratulations, museum today, 60 years in the game.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate to be on that board for a little over 10 years now. Irene keeps me on my toes, and I just really enjoy working with those folks over there. I've sat on the CMRB, which is the Calgary Metropolitan Region Board. I sit on the governance committee for that. I've been with the High River Regional Airport for more than 10 years. I've been on FCSS. I've been pretty much every board in town in some capacity or another. So I've gained a lot of experience and knowledge on the various topics. I also sit on IMC, which is an intermunicipal committee, where we share with the MD of Foothills, and we talk about things that are important to both municipalities, and we try to work things out on different issues. And so, I would say my experience and my knowledge is probably the biggest reason I would hope to get your vote.
Excellent. Well, we're going to move right on into the next question, which is, what are your top 3 priorities if you are elected, and how will you work to move those priorities forward?
Okay, so the top 3 priorities are in place, but a lot of this is going to depend on the pool referendum. If that vote is a yes, of course, that's going to jump right up there into the top 3 for sure. Without that being there right now, I've been promoting and pushing for what I call my non-motorized bridge over the Highwood. I'm very passionate about this particular project because I think it's the biggest thing we can do to join the north side and the south side of High River. Right now, that bridge is almost a natural barrier, and I myself don't enjoy walking across that bridge. It's so narrow, the existing one. So I'd like to build one that's wide enough for the trishaws. You're familiar with the trishaws?
Oh, yeah.
It'd be great if they could go from the north side of town or to the south side of town. Right now, that's a barrier for them. So that's my number one project right now. The next one, of course, is the town plan. That's in the middle of a rewrite or starting a rewrite. Getting that in place, getting input from the public, and doing all that consultation about where the residents of High River want to see us go in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Those would be the 2 biggest ones right now. Of course, the water issue is one, and I know it's coming up later in one of the questions, but that's always been a priority and still is. So we'll talk about that one a little bit later when you get to that question.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. So the next question that we have here is one that was submitted to us by a resident, and I thought it was so great because so for those that are unaware that are watching the video, the AUMA Local Democracy Pledge is just about encouraging keeping local government local, non-partisan, and ensuring that there's just like transparency and respectfulness between those that are running. And so we wanted to ask, what are your thoughts on the AUMA Local Democracy Pledge, and have you taken the pledge?
Yeah, well, just for clarity, AUMA is Alberta Urban Municipalities Association. Yes. I've been attending their meetings since I was first elected in 2010. Generally, they switch back and forth between Edmonton and Calgary. I think one year they might have been in Red Deer, but I attend all of their meetings when they have them, and I think it's really important for us to be part of that group, and it helps us lobby the province as well as federal government. I took the pledge again the day I did my nomination papers. I felt that that was important to me, that I remind myself of the pledge, and I have committed to living up to it completely, all through the term.
Excellent. We love to hear that. So yeah, sort of going back to what we were talking about earlier in regards to priorities, another question that was submitted to us from the community is just what are your thoughts on the current number one strategic priority, excuse me, of a long-term water strategy for High River? And since you are an existing council member, maybe you can give the community that's watching like a little bit more information and sort of like what that looks like and what that process is going to be like, and where you sit on the issue, I guess.
Yeah, the priority is getting an agreement in place between us and the county is one of the main parts of that water priority. I'm a little bit privileged because I am on council, but that agreement is virtually done now. I understand it's in legal hands. It's been agreed to by both the county and the town. I believe that there is no single winner in the agreement. We're both give and take, and that's always a good agreement. If somebody's happy and somebody's sad, then it's not so great. But I think in this agreement, it's going to be good for both communities. And it focuses a lot on water conservation. One of the issues within High River and what's becoming more and more apparent in the county is there's a lot of so-called lost treated water. And what that is it's water that comes out of the water treatment plant, goes through a meter, so we get a real number of what went out through the meter. But when we add up all of the billable meters, that's when everybody has a meter in their home, and do the math, it doesn't balance. So that tells us that there's water going somewhere. Either it's through leakage, or there might be a bypass somewhere, or various things like that cause that discrepancy in those two numbers. So the county and the town have pledged to work on that, where we can get that number much closer together, so we're accountable for every liter of water that we produce. Whether we'll ever get to every liter, I doubt it, but if we could get to 95 to 98% accountable for water that comes out of our treatment facility, I think that's a success factor. The other thing about water is it's rapidly becoming the new gold. Water is a very, very valuable commodity. It's an infinite amount. It's not endless. And there's another thing called water license that comes with that. And the town has to make sure that we have the right water licenses and the treatment and all those sorts of things in place. When we talk about growth, to me, that's one of the most important things. We can grow, but do we have the water, and is it sustainable? We hear horror stories about Okotoks all the time, having to run a pipeline out of Calgary. And they're going to be beholden to Calgary, and whatever Calgary determines will be the water rates for Okotoks. And they will control the amount of growth in the Okotoks area based on water consumption. So it's really, really important for High River to have a clear understanding of how much water we have, how much is available, and what our demands will be going into the future. Right now, Cargill is one of our biggest consumers, but they also contribute quite a bit to the cost of running a water treatment plant. Those plants aren't cheap. We're talking, I think they're doing some work right now, about another $40 million for an upgrade. So it's very, very expensive. Now, when I say that $40 million, that's both water, fresh water, drinking water, and the other side, what goes out the black pipe. That's important to treat as well. You can't ignore that. What comes in's got to go out. So wastewater treatment is also a big issue, and we're doing some works on plans right now. And I think that those would be the priorities going forward into this next term of 2021.
Excellent. Thank you so much. It is nice to have someone that has more information to help educate the public about that. And it's great too to hear from new candidates who are coming in and sort of like how they've interpreted these issues as well. And so thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with our community too, because I think it's so important for those that are on council to continue sharing information back and forth with the community and help sort of educate the community on these processes and things like that. So
absolutely, I totally agree with you, Caitlin, and it is really, really important. And sometimes we get misdirected on different things within municipal governance and looking at stuff that is, I don't want to say lesser important to residents, but those things are dealt with at an administrative level. And council has to focus on a higher plane, and that we're looking at long range plans for water and wastewater. And one of our most knowledgeable assets on council, Councillor Moore, is leaving us this year, and I relied on him a lot over the last 2 terms, keeping me in line. No, Jamie, this is what the numbers mean, and he's been a very, very valuable asset when it comes to water and the history and the water future management. So I have his phone number, and he's told me I can call him when I need some advice or some history, and so it'll work out, I think.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Now we have a few more minutes left, so I will sort of leave the floor open to you if you have anything else that you'd like to talk about, or
one of the things that hasn't come up a lot in this interview, of course not at all, is the economic development in High River. And my position is that businesses, you can help out businesses pretty much all you want. You can give them tax write-offs, you can do all of this fun stuff. But if you don't give them clients, if they don't have customers, they're not going to succeed. So I look at the municipality's role as being about people, bringing people to High River. If we bring people, those people will support those businesses. It's just the way things work. If you only have so many people, only so many businesses can survive. So I'm really about bringing people. And I think for me, bringing people to High River, the most successful way has been events, things like the River City Classic Show and Shine. I was down there a couple of Sundays ago, and I'm not good at estimating crowds, but there had to be 10,000 people downtown High River. That's good economic development. I'll talk about, in fact, one of them is running for council today. They came to a show and shine back probably 6-8 years ago, maybe. And when they saw the show and shine, they said, this is a community that we want to live in. They've since bought a house in High River. They've opened a business in High River, and they're a valuable member of our community. So when I look at economic development, I try to wrap it around events and special things going on in the community.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Well,
thank you.
I could talk about that all the time. That's my thing too. Community events and
things like the museum. The museum is another good example. The museum brings in tons of people into High River, and they greet them and give them all kinds of VIC stuff. And in fact, that's where our VIC is today. Our Visitor Information Center is at the museum, and that was a contract that we negotiated between the museum and the town, and I think has been a very, very good working relationship. I also like the movie stuff. I love it when film comes to High River. Anytime we can get people to do filming in High River, it's a huge financial benefit. In fact, on the council agenda later today, we'll be talking about that and about this disbursement of some of that money. So film is a big thing. Yeah. So I stay tuned to the council meeting today. I'll be wearing a tie and look a little tighter, maybe have more of a chin showing, but
I love that. I think too, it's important for people to know that they can tune into council meetings and participate in the civic process, even if they aren't running for council.
Oh, for sure. And Zoom has really made that happen. That's the one good thing I think that's come out of COVID. I still am looking forward to getting back to the face-to-face meetings. And I really enjoy sitting up there and seeing members of the public out there, and they'll make different faces and roll their eyes and do different things. And then they'll smile and cheer and laugh. So I really miss that part about being on council. And I hope we're back in chambers for sure, in November, December. It depends on how things play out. But let's hope we all are back face-to-face soon.
Yes, definitely. Well, we're almost up to our time here, Jamie, but is there anything else that you'd like to leave people with, sort of like your closing statements about why people should consider you for a seat on council, and what you would bring to the table, and how people can learn more information about you?
Well, certainly, I guess I can ask for their vote. Vote Kinghorn when you get into that polling booth. That's about the only way I can't put it any other way. But again, I'm really excited to be running in High River and being part of council. And I hope that the voters see that and sense that my passion for this town and for the community. I keep saying this town, it should be our town. I heard that the other day as people were saying this town, and it's not this town, it's our town. And I appreciate the passion for everybody that lives here. And if they want to talk to me, they can call me anytime or send me an email anytime, communicate with me. I'm always around, always have an ear open and willing to listen.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for making time for us today, Jamie. And thanks for letting us know where you stand and for providing us with some education for things that we didn't know about. And yeah, good luck on Election Day. And thank you so much.
Well, again, Caitlin, thank you guys for doing this. Our High River, I really appreciate it. And it's a great way for people to get their information out. So thank you again. And I look forward to seeing you downtown.
Sounds great.